Ladies and gentlemen, I have some news that is going to shock you to your core. Sneako, the sneakster himself, is really dumb. And in other news, water is indeed wet. So Ethan Klein, also known as H3H3, he went onto Bradley Martin's podcast. But at some point during the podcast, Bradley Martin brings up Sneako, because I guess H3H3 and Sneako might end up debating at some point. But Bradley Martin brings up Sneako, suggests that Ethan should debate him, and that ends up leading into Ethan Klein explaining why he personally doesn't like Sneako.
I genuinely don't like Sneako.
The thing is
that
well,
I think
obviously,
is
right?
fair. Yeah.
That's obviously. I mean, he's like. I mean, how can I like him? He's like a Holocaust-denying Nazi. He's actually like a Nazi.
If that's true, I think that's probably pretty reasonable for Ethan Klein being Jewish himself. It's probably a pretty good reason to dislike Sneako. Is that actually true? Does Sneako deny the aforementioned events? Spoiler alert, yeah, he does. So then Ethan Klein starts educating them on the whole Sneako cuck lore, but it is admittedly funny seeing fresh eyes watching Sneako go into excruciating detail talking about his cuckoldry. Now listen, I've remained consistent on this. I genuinely think that it is pretty admirable that Sneako discussed this openly, and I don't necessarily think that somebody who is into cuckoldry should be made fun of. I don't know, do whatever you want to do what makes you happy. I legitimately don't care. However, the fact that Sneako is so judgmental about other people's sex lives and who other people decide to have sex with, it's at that point, his cuckoldry is fair game. So Bradley Martin decides that this is kind of unfair. Sneako's not here to defend himself, so they decide to actually call Sneako on FaceTime, and Ethan really wants Bradley to ask Sneako how many Jews died during the event.
Just ask him how many Jews died in the Holocaust.
Ethan wants me to ask you how many Jews died in the Holocaust. I have no idea.
Put the phone up to the speaker. Yeah.
Okay, so what does it have to do with the video?
Don't answer. Don't judge.
What is that?
Now, this is something that Sneako does a lot when he's confronted with uncomfortable questions. Is he'll just try to divert to something else, and he'll just avoid answering the question. And again, it's just really hypocritical because Sneako purports to be this guy who's all about the truth, and I'm banned from all the mainstream platforms because I tell the truth. But he is far from honest and is very weaselly when he has conversations with people. Eventually, they give the phone to Ethan so that Ethan can directly confront him, and Ethan repeats the question.
Sneako, how many Jews died in the Holocaust?
We'll do the debate that you all called for whenever you want to do it.
It's such a simple question.
I'm not going to do this on FaceTime with you.
Why?
You know how I feel about what you talk about and everything you do.
How many Jews died in the Holocaust? Why? That's such an easy. That's like a softball, right?
I mean, I wasn't there.
Can we just sit here and appreciate how mind-bogglingly stupid that response is? Of all the answers that you can possibly give, you're saying that you can't possibly know because you personally weren't there. So I guess this guy doesn't believe anything that he reads on the news. I mean, I really don't think I need to explain why that's stupid, right?
How many?
There you go.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's about 6 million, right? Is the general historical estimate?
Yeah, it was exactly that. No more, no less.
So the other thing about Sneako is that he calls other people bots, right? Because they're robots that are programmed by the woke mind virus or whatever. He is an actual robot, right? So he has certain dialogue trees that he has programmed into his brain, and he cannot deviate from that. So in his Holocaust denial dialogue tree, he only has counter arguments against the fact that it was exactly 6 million. Ethan gives a more fleshed out answer saying that there isn't an exact number, but the estimates are that it's around 6 million. But Sneako can't comprehend that. He's like, oh, so you're saying it's exactly 6 million? Like, he quite literally cannot engage with the topic. And yeah, Ethan just completely annihilates Sneako when he asks him if he was there for like one of the events in the Quran or whatever.
Well, were you there when like Muhammad flew a horse, winged horse to heaven?
What are you talking about?
Were you there? Then how do you know what happened?
Like, it's just so obvious that obviously we understand that certain things happened even if we weren't there personally to witness them. Sneako just isn't a serious person. But yeah, Ethan just completely breaks Sneako's brain. Sneako quite literally is unable to contend with, you know, the Holocaust arguments. So Ethan just starts making fun of him for going to sex parties and engaging with other men, which is something that he purports to be against.
And do you still dream about a fellow's eyelashes tickling your balls when you jerk off? Because I bet that felt pretty good. I would
Say this to my face when I see you.
Why are you mad?
Now again, I don't think that people should be judged for, you know, their sexual life. Don't care. As long as everybody's a consenting adult, go for it. You know what I mean? But Sneako is deeply homophobic. So yes, it is completely fair to make fun of him for his past. And then as you see there, Sneako is like actually mad. Like, obviously we can't see him, right? He's talking on the phone. But you can feel the seething, burning rage that is coursing through his veins. And Sneako, right, he claims that he's grown, right? He recognizes that it was wrong of him to like threaten violence or whatever against Moist Critical during their initial beef. But when Sneako is put in another similar situation where some guy is, you know, getting the upper hand over him, making fun of his past, just overall just coming out better in the situation, what does he do? He starts threatening violence again, right? Saying, oh, you're going to say that in my face? If I met you in person, you wouldn't say that in my face, though. But don't be fooled. He is still the same immature man-child that if he feels like he can beat up the person, will challenge them to fights. But when people that are his size or bigger, like Brandon Buckingham, for example, he will cower away. He is exactly the same. He has not changed one bit. Now, listen, as far as I'm concerned, anytime anybody's having a conversation with Sneako, the main thing that you should be confronting him on is the fact that Sneako believes that if their parents consent, it is okay for adults to marry and have sex with 9-year-olds.
I understand now that the parents have better decision-making abilities than the woman, and it was a different time. And Muhammad, peace be upon him, was definitely not a pedophile. He had many wives. A lot of them were older than him. I think his first wife was 50 when he was 25. He was friends with Aisha, peace be upon her. He was friends with her parents. I don't think that that's an example of pedophilia, no.
Like, and yes, anytime that I talk about Sneako, I am going to bring this up because this is a man who defends grooming and straight up, you know, PDF files. So yes, anytime that I get the chance, I am going to bring up the fact that Sneako defends that. So yeah, in conclusion, don't be fooled. You know, Moist Critical, Charlie, Penguin Zero, he did really badly in that debate with Sneako. You know, I made a video where I heavily criticized Charlie. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Sneako himself is a good debater. Because if you present him with somebody that has actually thought through any of these topics for more than like 5 minutes, right? Because Ethan is also not like a world-class debater. They will expose Sneako. Like just watch his debates with Destiny, where he gets just absolutely annihilated. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.